Hello everyone. Today we are going to be making some beautiful spoons. So in here I have already rolled up the clay, so if you can kind of see, and each bowl is roughly about 45 grams. Now this is going to make a teaspoon and it is quite easy, my friends. So literally we just got the ball here and roll it into a ball. And this is literally what we're going to do. So this part of the end of it is going to be the end of the spoon. So what we're going to do is just, keep rolling our hands. And there's different ways to make spoons. So you can try the method of literally rolling out a slab of clay, and then cutting around a spoon and then literally just sitting on. But this way will give the spoon just a little bit more depth, I guess is the word. And now can you see how one bit is fat here and this bit is thin? So this bit here is going to be sort of the stem, I guess, of the spoon. Now you definitely don't want it too thick or thin. You probably want it the same as a pen. And if you kind of have a look, it's very similar. So once we've got to this and we sort of go, okay, this is what we want, sort of push the end in so that you don't want the end to be thin, because if it's thin, and remember, once we, go and, what's the word, fire it in the kiln, gee, my brain wasn't here, this will get a little thinner. So now with your thumb, we're just going to put it on the top of this bit here, squeeze down, and if you see, that kind of looks like a spoon already. And now you're just going to use your thumb to just kind of press the clay, mold the clay a little bit, just to get the spoon shape. And literally, that's it. So you can see that already looks like a spoon. And then what you want to do is, I've got a little bit of water at the back. I'm just dipping my finger in, go around the edge. And the reason I want to go around the edge of this spoon is just to make sure that I don't have any cracks. So you definitely don't want any cracks on it. And once that's all done and we're happy with that, just check all the edges. Don't want any cracks on that. You can leave this bit to be flat because the bit that's going to be round is this bit here. And, like I said, kind of go around the edge. Just make sure that's kind of how you want it. And then I'm just literally going to sit it on this paper. Now, the only other thing that I'll show you that I'm going to do, and it's really good to keep it on paper. It can be an old newspaper. This is just some, cheap sort of A4. I was going to say A5, but it's A4 paper. And then this end here, so you can leave it flat if you want it plain, but I want it twisted. So I basically twist the end of my spoons and then we'll just leave it like that. And then if I show you, it has like a little twisty bit. And so then when you actually go down the avenue of glazing it, it's going to look beautiful. So let me just do this. And doesn't it look amazing? So we're going to leave this one here, and then that's kind of what it looks like. So obviously I'm going to pop it here and we'll continue. So we'll go on to the next one. And like I said, you can sort of can make the end like that. But either way, it doesn't matter if it's a circle or not, because the time we sort of do this, at the end, and just keep rolling it a little bit, rolling it back and forward, and you can see that it's got the head here and then like the little stalk bit, similar to what a flower would have. And you'll get to the stage where you'll just keep making them and you'll go, gee, this is actually really easy. It's not hard to make them at all. But like I said, even though you might think, oh, that spoon looks big, do remember it's going to shrink up to 12% because, all of these shrink. So once again, I'm just using my thumb as the spoon kind of edge, and then, you just use your hands to I'm dipping it in water, which is behind me, which would be easier if I had it on the bench, wouldn't it? But anyway, you know what I mean. So... and then, like I said, just do that. If you want the bottom rounded, just go around the back and, just go around the edges, make it neat. You can do the twisting bit here and then just pop it straight onto the tray. If they're not the same, so if the ends of them are different sizes and you want them all exactly the same, just make sure that, you know, you spend some time doing that. You can get a pen or anything, just push the ends in, hold that and push the end to make the end a little bit flatter. And if one side looks a little bit, you know, not as perfect as the other, literally that's all you can do. Just use your hands to mold it. Your hands are great because they're kind of, you know, soft and so on. Just make sure there's no cracks in it. So that's why you might need a little water. And yeah, so you can do some that are spirally, some that are straight. I'm basically going to do them all spirally because when you actually add the glaze, it makes them look really nice. So yeah, so anyway, I thought you guys might like that. And I will do a separate video when we'll glaze them, and then I'll show you kind of the end result. But for this video, so that we can get this video out, because I've been a little bit lazy with doing videos, and I'm sorry, but I've had a number of live sales. So on TikTok, I do a lot of sales. So when it's not market season, TikTok's a great place to, you know, basically sell your products, really. And so if you get like a little line like this here, it's just, you can just turn it like this and keep going. Now, can you see how this bit here is a little bit thin here? You might think, oh, that's too thin. And then you can fix that as well. So I'm just having a look at some things that come up. Now, if the end of it is flat like here, just, you know, go around the edge and just change it. You know, like I said, push your thumb in, and, you know, you want to make sure that it's a good size because it's not going to pick up sugar if it's not. And most people that are going to use this are going to probably use it with a cup of tea or something. Anyway, that's all good. Once again, we're going to just spiral that and make sure that this isn't hollow at the end. You can get anything to cut the end off. This one's a little long, so I'm just going to do that. And then that just makes it neat. We'll neaten the end off. And I think it looks great. So we'll pop this one on here. And this one is a little bit longer, so let me just snip it off. And look, they can be different lengths. They don't have to be the same, but when you're selling things, it's good to have things similar because a lot of people might buy more than one. And depending on how many times you twirl it will depend on the end result. Now, I've also made some of these in a little bit bigger, so you can make this in a serving spoon. So these are about 45 grams. But if you want to make a serving spoon, probably about 150 grams would be good, and about 80 to 85 grams if you want to make a tablespoon. So my goal here in my house is I really want to make myself some nice plates, some nice spoons, some cutlery, because I have 5 daughters, and when they all come over and we all have like a nice sort of tea party, we sit down and just have a chat, it would be really nice to have these extra things. So yeah, you can make yourself these things, and then, you know, once again put this in, and, you know, you might get one spoon that's really big and one that's small, one that the head of it isn't as big as the other, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And then this one's a bit smaller, but sometimes you'll get teaspoons that are smaller. So yeah, no right or wrong. And then we'll just, like I said, twist the bottom a bit. If you want it to look like more of a twist, I'll show you what I do is hold here and just literally do this with your hands so that it's flat here, and a little flat on the top. And then when you twist it, you will definitely notice the twist a lot more. And so I'm going to just push it here, and you can use the end just to flatten it, but you can sand that later. I'm just going to make sure that this is the way I want it to sit. And, you know, pop them on a place that you can move them, like on a cardboard. But I know I'm not going to need to move them from here. And I will show you an end result in a minute. So let me go over and get the ones I've already made to show you. Now, I actually made these ones last night when I was doing a TikTok live, and I was just showing people how I actually made them. So they're already drying out beautiful. I think in a couple of days they'll be good to fire, and then I'll pop them in the kiln. And you know, look, these are kind of hard already, but then they're definitely not bone dry or anything. So this is when you could get your sponge and just go along the edge if you see any cracks or you're not happy with anything. But honestly, most times the glaze is going to make these perfect. And I'm not going to hand paint them. I'm going to glaze these in some beautiful glazes. Maybe I'll even use a little bit of a flux to give, you know, a waterfall kind of effect on these. I'm pretty excited to use some flux. And if you're thinking, well, how am I going to do the back, the sides, and whatever, and pop them in the kiln? You might need to pop them on some kiln furniture. That's generally how I actually do my spoons. And I'll find the kiln furniture to show you how I actually pop them in. So we've got one we've already made. It's a little bit harder. So let's just get the kiln furniture and I'll show you. So I'll pop these away. Now, if you want to fire these in the kiln and you've glazed them all, let's pretend they're all glazed, then you have these two pieces. So this is about $10. I think this was $15. This was actually two pieces and I dropped it and it smashed, which is fine because then I still got two halves. And I basically sit it this way. And then if we get the spoon, and I have to be gentle, otherwise I'll break it. And if I break it, it's okay. We can recycle. So you put the head of it on there and you balance it like that. So then once it's glazed, you just be able to pull it straight off there and you might just need a little sand at the back. So that's how you glaze spoons to get them fully glazed all the way around. If you don't want to do that, you can just literally pop it there, but it would mean the bottom of it is not going to have, you know, glaze on it. So I think most people would want it fully glazed and then you can just pop it straight back on here. So anyway, that's just a little bit about how I actually glaze them. So let's keep going with these and then I'll show you the end result when we're finished. So we've got some more. We will move them out of the way. It's just, you know, a little round. And the only reason they're round is basically once I make them, you know, once I sort of mold them, you know, because I weigh them on a scale first, I just roll them into a ball. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to, you know. And sometimes when you roll it, you'll get this little line. Just kind of like smooth that out because you don't want to have it hollow inside or anything. And sometimes that's just, you know, a part of when you roll things. But you're rolling it out anyway. So it's kind of like you're helping it along the way, isn't it? So like I said, make sure that one end is fat like this because this is the spoon end and this is the other end. So it's pretty much like a carrot if you look at it, or a turnip. And we know that's long enough, and then we're going to once again just use your thumb, push your thumb into that, and then your thumb is the spoon. So if you want, you could just leave it like that, but I don't. I kind of smooth it around a bit to make it a little wider, because if you make it a good centimetre or so wider, then you know that's going to be a pretty decent spoon. And like I said, if you just do this, which I often do, push the ends in, and then we can pick it up, twirl it, and pop it on here. So then we know, and just make sure that when we're doing this, make sure that the head and the spoon here is straight. If this is on an angle, that's obviously how that's going to dry, and then you're going to make a wonky donkey spoon. But maybe you want a wonky donkey spoon. I've got a couple spoons that are wonky donkey on purpose. But out of all the different ways that I've made spoons, this is the easiest. Now, another way is, you know, you've got this like this and it kind of looks like a little barrel. You can literally squeeze the top and then you know, okay, this bit around the top here is going to be the side that you actually need. And then we're just going to keep doing this. And then we're just going to keep, you know, rolling this around. And hopefully the sound on my video is okay because every time I do a video, someone calls me. It's like, come on. And I don't answer calls unless I know who it is. So, you know, because obviously I don't want the wrong person to be ringing me and trying to get information out of me, which, oh my goodness, we all know what that's like in today's society, don't we? Anyway, let's keep going. Like I said, you know, and smooth it out so that way it's going to have a bit more of a twisty end, isn't it? And yeah, and look, as you go along, you might notice that that needs a little water. So usually what I do is in this is just some plastic wrap, some shrink wrap, and I usually just put this over the top of the other balls that I've already done in the container like that, just so that the air's not getting to them too much. You really don't want too much air getting to them. And we'll pick it up. Got to be careful not to distort it too much. And I can see that it got stuck there, so we'll just fix that up a little bit. And then that's the good thing about putting it on paper too, because you can just, you know, you can fix it a little bit. And now this one's longer, so I'm going to just snip the end off because I like them to be the same size. And just make sure you round the ends, it's not sharp or anything. But like I said, you can change that later on. You can get a sponge and fix that up later on, and we'll make sure that's not sticking to my bench. And yeah, so keep going, won't we? And, you know, I've seen lots and lots of ceramic spoons being popular at the moment. I really do like to do everything, the spoons like I'm doing. All right, let's pop this one on and I will keep going and I will bring you back when I've finished. They are finished, everybody. So now they've just literally got to dry. So we've made lots of them here. I also made another 25 on the other plate. So we have finished making them and now we'll let them dry. So we have got there, everyone, with the spoons. This is a green one I'm playing around with. The spoon looks super cute, except for you can see it hasn't taken the glaze on one side, but that's okay. I will fix that one up. So we'll just refire it. We'll just add a little bit more glaze. The glaze wasn't thick enough. And then these little bits at the back, I just have to sand them down. But otherwise, I hope you think it's cute. I'm really happy with it. You know, it's a first go. And that's the thing, pottery takes time, friends. So anyway, I will get going. I will reglaze them, pop them in the kiln, and then we'll be up to the next.